Hello. If you're watching this video, I assume you have a student at Franklin High School who's taking Algebra 3-4 with me, Shauna Ewing. I look forward to meeting you in some way, shape, or form in conferences in November. If you are a student in my class, this is what I look like from below the eyes. If you're wondering what school is like this year, I would call it school with masks. That's basically the only difference, that and that the windows are open, so it can be a little chilly, but it's the best thing. And then there's a HEPA filter running in the front of the room. Other than that, my class sizes are the same size. We're still in collaborative learning units. We're still like, it looks just like normal school, but everybody wearing masks with the windows open. That's just our reality for this year, at least for the time being. In this video, I hope to talk to you about the general course overview, how students are graded, what the expectations are, and there's a written version of this, if you want to come back and check on it, on my Canvas home page. Generally, how does the class run? Well, at the beginning of each class, students are given a warm-up that they are expected to complete. Hopefully, all the students now have a composition book or a spiral notebook that they can glue that into, and then I will provide, that's when we kind of create notes and we go over the material in some detail. So if they don't have a notebook and they need help getting one, I don't provide them, but I can direct them to where those resources are available at the school. In addition, then I come around the classroom and each student has a unit overview that they receive day one of the unit. This particular unit says salmon, but they're always a different color, so it's easier for them to keep track of and to get out as soon as they get in class. If they were on time and have attempted the warm-up, they'll get a stamp right here as I'm going around. In addition, I go through and I look to see if the practice that was assigned the class before, if they have attempted every C-level problem and at least one A-level problem. If they have that done at the beginning of class, they'll also receive a stamp here. Nothing is turned in this class for a grade other than tests. I want them to keep this. Maybe they didn't get a chance to do the assignment. That's okay. They can do it later. The only thing they'll miss out on is a stamp on this worksheet, on this unit overview. So if you're looking to see if your student is doing their practice, is coming to class on time, then what you should ask them for is to look at their unit overview and look to see if there are stamps for both the warm-up and the assignments as we go. If they're missing a bunch of stamps, then maybe that's something we need to talk about or you need to find out what's going on. But there won't be anything that shows up in Synergy or Canvas that demonstrates whether or not they're doing the work. All there is the stamps. The stamps can then be used as kind of like getting a hint. There's very particular rules about it. It's written here at the back during the tests. So if they have up to 10 stamps, they can turn those in and I can like point out where they made a mistake on a problem or something along those lines. And we're still, so that's what the stamps do. But if a student misses the stamp, there's no damage to their grade. And so every student should have one of those. Like I said, this unit is salmon. So I've gone around the room, I've checked on that they've tried the warm-up, I've checked that they've tried to do all of the problems on the practice from the day before, and then we'll go over the warm-up. I'm hoping they're writing notes, and then we'll do what's called a daily quiz, where I pick a couple of problems, one C-level, one A-level, off of the assignment from the practice from the day before, and they get a chance to then show me their work, even if they didn't do it, or they can copy their work directly from their assignment. That is turned into the bin. It doesn't go into the grade book, but it does give me a chance to provide them with feedback, see how they're doing. If they understood both the C-level problem and the A-level problem, they'll get a nice plus. If they understood the C-level, but not the A-level, they'll get a check. And if they didn't understand the C-level problem, I will give them a minus on that, and then all kinds of feedback on it, and they get those back the next class. After that, they'll be given an investigation, which will present the material for that day, whatever the new learning target is. I don't do notes first. very often. It's usually an investigation where they're working collaboratively with me, cruising around the room, trying to help out. And they go through and try to figure out these things on their own with these very guided investigations. As they finish those up, I then give them a copy of the practice, and they have the opportunity to then start that practice in class. Now, you've heard me talk about C-level and A-level problems. Let me explain a little further what that means. C-level is the equivalent of proficiency. That means that they learned it and they're capable of doing a problem that is complex enough that I would call it, that's what they need to demonstrate to pass advanced algebra and receive that credit. If they're looking for going on to further math, pre-calculus, college math, then they're probably going to be working at the A level. So that's taking that same idea, whereas it might be solving an absolute value where it's equal to a number. At the A level, it would be solving an absolute value where they have a variable outside on the other side of the equation as well. Just kind of an added step, one step further to make sure that they understand the material at a higher level, something that would be equivalent of highly proficient knowledge. They do not pick a track. You can do, different, each unit, each learning target, they can choose, you know what, I get this at the C level. I'm struggling with the A, that's just fine. And then another one is like, oh, I got the A level. That's fine too. So it just varies learning target by learning target, but I just want to make it really, really clear where that bare minimum of knowledge is so that they know what the minimum goal is to be prepared for the test. If they can answer every problem at the C level on the unit test, they'll earn a C on the test. And then for each problem that they can answer at the A level, they'll raise that grade up towards a B or an A on that unit test. Unit test grades will go into Synergy/Parent View. Those are the only things that go into Synergy or Parent View, same thing. And that is representative of their grade in the class. If they miss class, or if they want to go over it again, or they need another view on it, that's where Canvas comes into play. With Canvas, and I'm just going to cruise down here to 1-4 because I think it's an easier one to see. I have not exactly the same thing we did in class, but very, very similar in a digital form. So for example, this is the investigation, what I call formative style. Here is what we're looking at. It's something like this, where it's the same type of investigation, but they can do it digitally as they work through. If they answer a question correctly, they will get a green light. If they make a mistake, or it doesn't exactly match the answer I put in, could be just a spacebar issue. You can't assume that the red light, it means something bad has happened, but it allows them to work through the investigation digitally. At the end, all of the answers become clear that are shown, and then they can compare their answer and figure out what they did and didn't understand. This is not required. This is for students that maybe want to revisit investigations they did earlier, maybe didn't fully understand, or missed class. So it's just another way to approach the same material we covered in class. After that, there will be on Canvas something I call notes and practice. This is really intended for if they have a tutor, or if you're trying to help them, or maybe they just want something a little more laid out. And so, for example, it will have kind of a step-by-step guide as to how to solve these problems, something that we would have done it as a warm-up, or I would have gone over in class. This is another way for them or their tutor or yourself to look at how to solve these problems. And then a few practice problems. Some will be the same as what we covered in class, others will not. They may be a little different, there'll be some overlap. And then after this, there's the key to that so they can check their work if they're doing this in lieu of being in class, or it's a great resource, like I said, for parents or tutors or older siblings or whoever is working with these students, seeing how these answers or questions are solved. After that is what I call a practice quiz. Practice quizzes, once again, it's kind of to replace the warm-up. It's a way for them to check, try a problem that's similar to what they're going to see on the test. And then they will get feedback on them as the answer to it after they hit submit. So a second way to kind of approach this material and check to see where their understanding is. All of that is available to them, and it's fine. And then in the end, they will take a unit group test, which is like a practice test. It can help their grade, but it can't hurt it. And then they will take their individual test. The individual test, the first time through, they can use that unit overview document. It's an important one. The one that I talked about being a different color. They can write anything they want on it. That is their cheat sheet. They can't use their notes or their notebook unless they have other arrangements through an IEP or other document. All they can use is that unit overview, and they can write anything they want on it. And we do talk a bit about what are great ways to fill that out. After they're done with the unit overview, or the unit test, I then take it home and grade with like little red X's. It shows that their answer is not perfect. And then when they come back, I give it back to them, and they have an opportunity to correct, maybe even answer for the first time, any problem that they didn't understand the first time. Then I get their grade on the test. That's the first time I really grade it. They get all points back if they're able to make those corrections. And that's when they would cash in those stamps. And that becomes the grade in the class. I hope I've answered all of your questions, comments, or concerns. If you have any more, please let me know. Email me at sewing or sewing@pps.net. Thanks.